Hello, my name is Stephen Burns. I'm a geophysicist and an environmentalist, and today I invite you to view my creek rehabilitation project here in Napa, California. So let's dive right in. And basically what this project is all about is that we have the Napa Creek here, which runs into the Napa River. It's a beautiful area. And recently it's undergone some renovations. The city came in here maybe 5-10 years ago, just leveled the whole hillside, put in some logs, put in some stones to help with the flood project. We have flooding here in Napa. The issue with that is that the ecosystem became very, it lost a lot of its diversity, a lot of its native habitat over the years, and the city did its best to restore that habitat, but it needs a little bit of help. So I come out here almost every day, and it's my gardening project to restore the native habitat here in Napa, here at this Napa Creek, and also to plant a whole bunch of edible plants and other really good soil building plants to build a broad, diverse ecosystem that is full of food, full of life, and full of vitality. So we'll get started with some of the basic ones. I'm going to flip around now. And the first thing I want noticed is all the carbon that we put down. All these wood chips. Tons of wood chips. This is also a carbon sequestration project in the works. So we have this trail here and it goes all the way down, and look at the logs, right? There's probably about a ton of wood chips here. So 2,000 pounds sequestered. And the goal with this project really is to restore native habitat. So restore native habitat, encourage water holding capacity. We want the soil to be lush and moist with water year round, to encourage pollination. So here we have some amazing pollinators. Look at all these onions. These are all native onions, and they are just ready to go. The bees love these. And we have other wildflowers too. We have some small guys there. We have, these are radishes right here. These are radishes, so you could pull that and eat it. Actually, that's a pretty big radish right there. And we also have some native trees. We have sage right here, a beautiful sage plant that's grown through the winter. And here are some other plants, a little strawberry. And we're also looking to create a natural sanctuary. So we want a place where animals can feel at peace and out of harm's way. They're away from maybe really loud cars and streets. Streets are very dangerous. So this place is a goal to restore natural habitat, encourage water holding capacity in the soil, to encourage pollination, like we have some pollinators here, and then to create a natural sanctuary. So what are the methods used to do that? Well, the primary method is composting. So here we have some plants, and this is a really wonderful flower that's very, I don't know the name of it, but it stays around, it's very hardy, and we're looking to build a year-round pollination site. So while other flowers go through phases, this guy here has a nice root that can pull water from any time, and it can then flower potentially year-round. We have another one up there. So we want to create this pollinating habitat, and actually this goes into one of the methods used, which is a no-kill policy. We don't want to kill any plants. Any plants that are pulled maybe from another garden, or really we're trying to establish an environment that everything can live in and be happy. So we might trim the grasses and the weeds, as we did here, right? Recently gave all us a haircut. It's very, you can see how deep it is. It's actually about 2 feet tall, right? Or more. But we're not pulling these out. We want to build strong root systems. Again, we're trying to build that water bearing capacity. Here's some amazing flowers there. Oh yeah, these are so pretty. And you can do that also, you can build that water bearing capacity with composting. So looping back to the first point I'll expand on it now. You can take any food scraps you have in your garden. Let's say you do this in your garden. You take any food scraps you have, not ones like meat or fish necessarily, but vegetable and fruit, produce, maybe different grains, and you can bury them directly into the soil. So this whole bed here, which has the sage, it has some Asian celery right here. All those white flowers are onions, so you can pull all those and have onions. Here you have your radish, and you have some chard here, some delicious chard, parsley back over here. So this is very much a food forest, a place where you can pick and graze and eat a meal. Dandelions pop up here all the time. Dandelions are great to munch on. And by composting, you can put a lot of nutrients and water into the soil to help these plants grow, and at the same time to fortify the soil with a really strong microbiome and a lot of water. And that goes right in line with the carbon sequestration. This right here has been an excellent water catchment layer over the past winter. We've had a very minor winter, but in terms of rain, only about 14 inches here in Napa, California. But if you were to dig down, this gets wet really quick. I mean, this thing is still so moist. Look at that, right? That's because all these organics have water stored in them. So it doesn't take much water to keep it very moist. They're actively breaking down, building very large fungal root networks through this entire area, supporting this entire ecosystem. Fungi are our friends. And the last method used for this is basically to observe and receive guidance. So you can garden with a plan, and certainly there are plans in motion here, but the primary way that I permaculture, I garden, is to just put myself into the roots of the plants and think about what they might want, and then see if I can help out and give them that. Whether that's water, or whether that's different sunlight, or whether that's giving them a haircut. I just ask and receive guidance. So here's a great example. This is a fantastic plant, much more vigorous, much more robust and anti-fragile than a grass. Grass is great, but it's very monocrop. The roots really just kind of choke out everything else from the water. This provides shade. It's a little bit more open. It's easier for other animals to kind of maneuver through. Maybe this is edible to a deer where grass isn't. So a lot of people would see this and just pull it. They would just have that no-kill. They would have that kill policy where they just think it's a weed. But when it comes to gardening, you want to sit here, observe this plant, think about its goal, what it wants to do, and then do your best to help that thrive. So we want all the plants here to thrive. I think we can see that they're clearly doing that. We have some ivy up here. We do have some blackberries going around. This is a black locust right there. Not a native plant, so eventually that is a conversation, but it is providing a lot of green for this environment. All this green here are baby black locust plants, and here's a larger one. They do have some spikes on them, but for now they're definitely helping the environment. So that's another example of the no-kill policy. Here are some succulents. Here's one, there's another one a few feet away. Some other plants that were destined for the yard waste bin, and guess what? They're looking happy, they're looking healthy. This guy's putting out a new buddy right there, which is great. And so what are some of the results of following these methods? Well, the first result is if you compost your food scraps and dig holes and bury them and do some cold composting, you'll be surprised and blown away by what pops up. Because we have squash coming up over here. We have potatoes coming up over here. I mean, this is all, if they take This is all edible. And this is a Hawaiian snowbush, which was kind of destined for the yard waste bin. He's not doing well, but again, no kill policy. Give this guy a shot. And he's in a good shady spot here. Plenty of time for him to grow and recover. And this whole zone here, this whole little ledge has been loaded up with compost and food scraps and native materials like these bay leaves and twigs and sticks. So it's loaded up with water, and that's why all of these are sprouting, because they can put down roots 18, 24 inches, and they can feed on the water down there. So that is one of the first results. I think it's clear that this is a very diverse ecosystem. We have some native plants like sticky monkey flower around. We have all the wild onions, the native grasses, some of these native weeds. There's a beautiful dandelion right there. Ooh. We have these shade plants, many native plants here. Of course, we have the whole creek, which is incredible. So this creek is like an absolute lifeline for this area. And you can actually see how well this specific zone is, because you can see how tall that is right there compared to the rest of the skyline. This has the tallest creek plants. I don't remember exactly what they're called. And some more results would be the native habitat. This is a native dill, an absolutely beautiful plant here. And there's about 4 or 5 more of them down the slope from me. But this was completely crowded out by this grass here. It would not be the size it was if I hadn't kept it clean, trimmed. I think you can see another one over there. There's one. We're also putting in some natural, some California natives, a cactus here. Cactus have excellent, amazing root systems, very, very strong. This thing was in a small little pot when I bought it. I mean, like something like this big, right? And the whole thing was just pure white roots. It was able to convert nearly all the dirt in its small container. And look at its size, right? The container was this big in relation to how big it grew. So these are excellent, excellent, excellent soil and water holders. And so we put him in, and we also put in some natural structures. We've laid down all this grass here. We have a heat wave coming in on tomorrow and Sunday. The next day and two is going to be like a 15-degree increase. It's going to be 90 degrees in April, in mid-April. So all these grasses here otherwise would have died, or they would have really started to yellow. But if you cut them, bring them back from 4 feet down to like 2.5, right? They're already super, super tall. You cut them down, that the cut tops actually provide shade and release water over the next few days for about a week. So this whole area will stay vibrant and green because of proper weed management. You never want to drop weeds at their roots. You either want to completely pull them by the root if it's something you really don't want, or you just trim them down, and actually you can basically epigenetically modify them to be much more favorable and pleasing. Those grasses there are pretty straw-like, but I have some over here which are really, really gentle and tender. So they're quite nice. And I think you can clearly see the native species proliferation. This is a Napa native right here, the wild onion, and that is just going crazy all over. Before I did any of this, this is all grass, just the regular grass. And now, because I've amended the soil and I've given these onions space, they've been able to grow and build some amazing pollinating networks. Because again, grasses and seeds, they don't really pollinate at all. So they're not pollinators. One more example, no kill policy, is this little guy here. He wasn't doing so well maybe about 6 months ago. I mean, he went through his life cycle and he was destined for the yard waste bin. So instead, I took this guy and planted him and developed his roots and just gave him time and water every now and then. Just was a good good caretaker, and look at it now. It's this beautiful, super soft but strong, loaded with water, has excellent roots. This guy did not die like maybe someone else thought it was going to, and here it is now helping improve this soil. So you can do things like that with the sage, some really resilient plants here. Strawberries, I just put this in a couple days ago. It's ready, has blooms. So maybe that'll be a little snack for a lizard or frog. I've seen tons of little frogs this year, whereas before I never saw them. So their natural habitat, they really like this. They like that I'm out here watering and, you know, putting water into the soil. I pull water from the creek, and the reason why I do that is because the creek water is actually water that's flowing through the soil out this way laterally. So this whole slope has water holding capacity, which then slowly over time flows out into the creek. So when you take water from the creek and put it back over here, some of it go into the plants, which is good. A little bit evaporates, but most of it actually will go back down and start that process back down to the creek. So it's a very regenerative and cyclical process, which is really good. And it's better to use water like this than tap water. And another analysis here is if you ask for guidance for what to do, observe, ask for guidance, and then listen and follow through, you'll be rewarded with your efforts. Every time I come out here, I'm able to now pull some food to eat, some onions, maybe some chard, some celery. There's a whole bunch of things which are edible and delicious here. And it's all born out of the fruits of doing good, doing only good every day. So making sure that when I come out here, I'm not just destroying the environment and just completely razing it to the ground. I'm encouraging the proliferation of these native species, especially this dill here is an amazing, incredible example. And I'm only doing good every day. So I'm doing that consistently, right? It's every day you're doing some good, and you're not overthinking it. It's better to be patient. Why rush into something and decide to exert your control over everything when you really haven't thought it through and thought whether the plants and the animals and nature wants that and is best for that. And what that requires though is patience and trust. So you have to be patient and you have to trust the process. If you do, you'll be rewarded. And last but not least, food scraps are really awesome. I mean, it's such a valuable resource. I can't believe people throw them away. It's really mind-blowing. I mean, these guys, you don't have to go to a store. You don't have to buy them. You don't know what they've been sprayed with, maybe at a garden center. Here they are popping up in their native environment, building root systems that can't be competed against when you transplant, and they are doing incredible. Based off of what I know, this guy right here probably has roots already down to 16 inches, right? And it's just a baby, hasn't even put out its first normal leaf. This is likely a butternut squash. These are probably all butternut squash. I don't know what that is, but it's definitely edible. It might be a potato, just a little bit different physiology than this one. So composting food scraps is incredible. I highly recommend you do it. We'll flip around again. All right. If you watched the full video, thank you so much. This is the Creek Rehabilitation Project. It's been really, really fun. And right now it is mid-April, so we're getting near the end of my efforts here because I'm leaving soon to do an entire permaculture effort on the East Coast. This summer, it's going to be insane. I've already shown some videos of it before, which you can watch. My six-step process to create living soil and also do this, not that video. So those are really good. I'm going to have a ton more content there. But this is a creek rehabilitation process. I hope that you learned something in this video. Some of my methods, my way of approaching this really is effective. It really works well. I can't say it's no effort because I mean, cutting all this grass takes time. caring for these plants, watering them every day. It takes time, all this stuff, but it's really good and wholesome. I feel amazing every time I come out here. It never feels like a chore, and I'm not just destroying this natural ecosystem. The city comes through with weed whackers like twice a summer, and they just mow it down. It's really sad, and it just destroys anything, because anything trapped in the grass like normal, like the dill and a lot of these little shrubs, the shade plants, and a lot of those onions and pollinators are sitting below the grass. You can't see them when you weed whack, so you just cut it down, you're done. You have to use shears. So I do this all by hand. I don't use any power tools back here, and it's really incredible. I think that's the best way to garden, the best way to permaculture, the best way to create a food forest. So one more little sneak peek here. I have something special to show you. Okay, so last year I put in 3 avocados, 3 of them, and they got really burnt during like a 105-degree heat wave during the summer. So when I came back, things weren't so hot, and then during this winter there was a cold snap, so the frost got them and just dropped all their leaves. So these 3 avocados have been unknown. I would love for in 20 years this creek to be a place where it's just abundant and full of food and energy and life. Like, just to be able to grab avocados off of a tree in this natural creek area would be incredible. It would make me so happy. So we have a little treat here, because it's not all doom and gloom with avocados. Hopefully I can get this guy to focus. But this one here has put out so many buds. Its entire stalk is covered in these red buds. And certainly these top 4 or 5 here, are really going to sprout out and be absolutely beautiful. And this guy is going to really grow this year. But potentially it could be like 8 or 10. This avocado, against all odds, has sat here for like more than a year now. And if you look at its stem, it's still very green, right? It's very green, it's very healthy, it doesn't have any real scarring or bleaching on it. It's a very, yeah, look at those ones down there. It's a very healthy plant. And now it should just absolutely go wild. So there is hope for a massive avocado tree here in the future, and every tree is an excellent way to sequester carbon. It will help condition the soil in this entire beautiful creek, and it will also help hold water. So there's one more native dill back there. Ooh, this creek, there's so many actually over here. So you can see just how incredibly healthy and amazing and vibrant and magical this place is. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, politely click that like button. It means a lot. It helps grow the channel. Subscribe. Please subscribe so you can see these updates. Hit that notification bell, okay? And if you have any questions, I will help answer them. Just write them in the comments below. Maybe share this to some friends who are also into permaculture and all this amazing stuff here. And lastly, if you'd like to learn more about this, I'll drop some links to my website, wildfreeorganic.com, in the description below. I have a hugelkultur article. I have some other articles on permaculture. Give those a read. It's an excellent place to start. And with that, I wish all of you the best, my friends, and I'll see you all in the next video.